Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives, thinkers, and doers. It is I, the mayor, Flobo Boyce, in the mayor's office with someone that's doing it. Look, Southern California is where I'm staying, and there are actors to and fro all over. But this actor made me go, award-winning performer, thespian, if you will. Sonia Balcazar, how are you doing on this evening?
Thank you. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Being able to connect with other creatives is always a good thing. Always a good thing.
Yes, always love that.
So let's get to the beginning, or my beginning, because you've been working for a long, long time. But I was scrolling social media and I came across a post that you had posted saying, look, I have the credits. I got the skill. I got the talents. Take a chance on your girl, Sonia. And I was like, dang, I respect that. Let's talk about that off the bat, deciding to be, you're in a craft, you're an actor, but then going, I'm telling the whole world what I can do on social.
Well, I feel like there's so much opportunity for us to take control of our careers or where we want to go or the direction we want to take our lives with being able to create our own content. And I myself, I'm an actor, but I've studied business. I have a bachelor's degree in business and I studied marketing management. So I also know how to market and, promote. Mm-hmm. And so I can't do one without the other. If I don't feel like something is not happening for me, I take control and I do something about it. And so getting exposure to casting directors and getting exposure to filmmakers and directors and producers, I thought, well, let me just tell people who I am. Let me just promote myself and market what I can do and what I've done, what my credits are. But let me take control of that and tell my story from my perspective. And that's probably the ad that you saw and you came across one of my posts. And I feel like we have so much opportunity to create content. Why not do it and benefit from it and promote the work that we're doing?
And I went down I won't say dark rabbit hole, a pleasant rabbit hole of things that you've done. So take a step back. So was this always a dream to be a performer, or was something you fell into? Does the bug exist? Does the acting bug exist? And when were you bit by it?
I get that question a lot, and I'd have to say it's always been in me. Sure. Always. But there's always social pressures to tuck that away and do something practical. I got it from my family, from my dad, from, teachers at school. It's almost like, oh, you want to be an artist. That's just, that's nice for now, but you should what do you really want to do with your life, right? Right. And so there was always this social pressures to follow the norm, get a job, go to school, get a job, buy a house, have a family. And I was always struggling against that. So I've always had it. And there was always things in my life that were happening that told me, like, I'm an artist, I'm an actor, I'm a performer, I'm a dancer, all these things. But I was always trying to tuck it away. And so I've always known, it's just different pieces of my life would give me opportunity to express myself. And then those things would help me shine. And then it would give me permission to bring the artist in me out. So there are a lot of moments that built up to me realizing that this is my passion. This is and not only that it's okay to live that passion. It's okay to pursue that passion.
So you hit the nail on the head for a lot of creatives having that, I won't say pressure, but that environment where it's like, get a real job and what that entails. I know I struggled my own way because comedy was my thing and my parents came from like mathematicians and nursing and people on the farms. What was that moment you go, look, I understand what you're saying, but it's kind of scary for me to say my path is not there. I'm making that jump. I'm making that transition. What was that like?
It was really scary. It was really scary. I was working. I had already graduated college, and I was working in sales, doing what social norms told me to do, right? Societal pressure and families and everything. And I had paid for myself to go to acting school outside of work for a 2-year program in San Francisco. Oh, nice. I just finished the program, and I was like, okay, now what do I do? And it was at this point in my life where I had to make a decision. Do I pursue acting now that I just finished this 2-year program, or do I continue the rat race, which is what I was in? I was in a rat race. And I was very unhappy with where I was at in my corporate job, my corporate sales position, making tons of money, but I was miserable. And I knew that, okay, I have everything that everybody said I was supposed to have, the nice house, the car, the money, the job, the title, but I was miserable. And I knew that's not the path for me. If I'm doing this to make, because everybody else says that's what I need to do, and I'm unhappy and I'm miserable, then something's got to give. And I had just finished my 2-year program. So I didn't tell anybody. I kept it a secret, but I quit my job, and I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my sister, who was my roommate at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't tell my friends. I didn't say anything to anybody. I just quit my job and I started acting full time. And
Wow.
I was so afraid to tell people. I didn't tell anybody until they started figuring it out. Like, even my landlord at the apartment I was living in was like, "You haven't been driving to work lately. Are you? What's going on?"
Yeah.
So, I was so afraid what people would think of me. I was so afraid that people would look at me like, "Why did you quit this perfectly great job, great career, making great money? Like, you have everything everybody works for, and you quit that to go be an artist, to go be an actor." Like, I didn't want anybody to judge me or put me down or even stop me from what I wanted to do. But something in my heart just told me, you just got to do it. You have to. And I did. And eventually I had the courage to have the conversation with my sister, with my dad, with everybody that I felt like I needed to hide it from, because I didn't want anybody to, again, judge my decisions. But it was the best decision of my life. The best. I would do it 1,000 times over. And I would do it sooner.
What was that like? I know that the jump is scary, but like, is it kind of like going on an adventure? Do you like stack some like money in an account? Do you bring snacks? Like, do you just,
I did.
Like, what do you do to prepare to make that jump?
Well, I was preparing to purchase a home. I was saving money to put a down payment on a house, because that was the next step, right? You go to college, you get a job, you save money, you buy a house. Like, it's just all these things. And I had this money put away to put a down payment on a house. And I was like, okay, if I buy a house, I'm stuck in this rat race, because I'm going to be in that like mortgage ball and chain. You can't move. Like, you're just solidifying it. But the artist part of me was like, no, like, that's not,
That's the voice.
Yeah. And then, I was like, I have to listen to this art, the person in me that needed to express through art. Yeah. So I used everything. I basically, the money that I had saved for my down payment, I used it to support myself for 2 years so I could act full time.
I can't say I'm an actor. It's a craft. I've tried. I am terrible at memorizing, therefore I could never do it. But the one time I went to an audition, it was for a student film. They wanted a tough guy on a street race. I said, I'll go. I seem kind of tough. And it was the most surreal moment, seeing like multiverse versions of me. Like, there were tall me, there were short me, there were fat me's. Like, that must mess with your psyche to be like, wait, hold on, how many clones of me live in a town? I can come do this.
So what happened? How'd it go?
Oh, I did okay. I didn't get picked, but I said, you know what? I just couldn't deal with seeing the replicants. And so people always tell me, oh, acting's fun, you love it, but that's like the last frontier for me. It's actually the craft of performing.
Well, the auditions are a numbers game, right? It's just, the audition is acting, because that's your practice. That's where you, like, a good majority of actors spend most of their careers auditioning, not actually acting. They're auditioning a majority of their career. So that is the job, is the audition. So I take great joy in it, because that's the part. That's like getting the part. Getting an audition is like getting a part. She's like, oh, I get to practice, I get to rehearse, I get to, look at this character, script analysis, and then create it and then execute. Like, that's the job. And so if you can enjoy the audition process, then you can enjoy when you actually get on set and you get the part. But it's a numbers game. It's just massive. I think that's the connection that I've made between when I was in sales, when I was in outside sales, and in acting. I don't take anything personal, because when I was in outside sales, I used to knock on business doors, have doors shut on me, people hang up on the phone. Like, I'd cold call people, and it's that like really rough rejection that really toughen my skin so that when I went into full-time acting, when I had all the auditions and all of the no's and the no's and the no's, I didn't take it personal because I had been doing it for so long in my career. It just transferred over. I'm like, okay, no, yes. And so the numbers game continues from sales to acting, where it's probability, right?
Yeah.
The more you audition, the better chances you get of fitting the role. But, also not taking it personally is casting directors know what they want, and you're either what they want or you're not. And so you can't take that personally either. You can do a great job, but if you're not what they're looking for, then you're just not going to get the part. And it doesn't mean that I'm a bad actor. It just means I'm not the person for the role.
Wow, I needed you back then, because I was like, I bared my soul and I wasn't chosen. Oh, what was me? So you are originally from NorCal, and you moved down to Southern California during the pandemic, of all things. 2 questions: why, and 2, what is this whole feel with the NorCal versus SoCal beef? What's your perspective, being from California?
Well, yeah, I'm from Northern California. I'm from San Jose. And then I moved August 2020 because when I was working up in the Bay Area, which most of my acting career, it's been in the Bay, it's been San Francisco. Most of my body of work is from the Bay Area. And then where I work now, it's we were in the office, and then and where I work now, my company supports my acting career 100%, which I love because, they support everything that I do. And I have a bunch of supportive people around me, but we were working in the office. And then once we went into the shutdown in March 2020, we were working from home. A few months later, they decided to allow everybody to work from home because we were more productive. So then once that happened, everybody in the company, not everybody, but most people in the company started moving out of the Bay Area because it's really expensive to live there. So some of my friends were moving to Arizona, to Florida, to Sacramento. They were like moving their families to different parts of the country because it's so much cheaper to live. And I thought, well, I'm living in the Bay Area. It's very expensive to live here. So I just, and I had already kind of plateaued with the work that's out in San Francisco, because they don't do a lot of film productions out there. It's a lot of industrial, a lot of commercial, a lot of independent work. But I wanted to level up my body of work. So I have to move to LA to be able to audition and be around filmmakers that are doing the types of projects that I want to be a part of. So when we were able to work from home, I said, okay, well, I get to keep my job, work remotely, and live in LA. Perfect. But I came in August of 2020 and nobody was really filming. Everything was shut down.
Sure.
The streets were empty. It was just like a ghost town everywhere. And so
that's how it always is.
And so I came at such an odd time where I was in solitude for a very long time, for months, and I had to meet people. And it was a rough period of time, as it was for many people during the first year of the pandemic. But, moving away from my parents, my siblings, I have family out here, but it's not a lot of, we were in the pandemic, so we were all in quarantine. So it wasn't like we were able to go meet and hang out. And so it was tough. It was very tough, but it did give me a lot of time to focus on the craft, to focus on, the skills and a lot of the work that I wanted to kind of reflect on. And I wouldn't take it back. I think it was a rough time that I needed for growth, and I appreciate growth in any way.
So being on both sides.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, for being on the both sides now, what's your opinion on the NorCal, SoCal kind of
thing?
So
NorCal, SoCal. Well, it's funny because a long time ago, when I was in college and I would say hella, my roommates were like, hella? They're from Southern California. Like, we don't say hella. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, we say hecka, or we say other things. And I'm like, okay. They're like, yeah, that's a Bay Area thing. And I'm like, really? I hear people in LA say hella, They're like, nope. I'm like, okay. So then I thought it was like the terms, right? Like, okay, this, your terms versus our terms. But then when I moved out here, I realized it's much bigger. I didn't realize how big the rivalry was. I know there's the Dodgers and the Giants rivalry, right? Because
right.
My dad's a Giants fan, and my brother and my dad and my sister are Giants fans. My brother and I are Dodger fans. So
wow.
The house is divided. But because we're in the same family, it's just our thing, right? But when we come out here, oh my God, it's like, it's pretty major. It's pretty big.
Poor Oakland. No love over there. Well, it's something I had to learn being from the East Coast. I mean, for us, we're kind of like California, but there's like it feels like NorCal's like SoCal's lame and SoCal's like, we don't really think about y'all. It's a weird dynamic to me on the outside, but it was cool to get your perspective on it. A lot of my friends who are working in a similar craft as you are, there's that little balance of the working in the actual craft, getting better at performing, and then like the business side, like the getting into the union or marketing yourself. Is it something that you consciously decided you have to give yourself a little bit of time on that? Or was it like lockstep for you? Was it like, oh, of course, the next evolution for acting is getting to the union. The next evolution for acting is going to these premieres. Or was it something where it's like, no, I just want to create. Oh, I have to do that too? Dang.
Yeah, it's a great question because I've never reflected on it. I've just kind of outgrown the wineskins, right? Like it's like I have all these dreams and these goals that I make for myself. And I realize that as I make those goals or milestones for myself and I reach them, and then I'm like, okay, well, now I got to make bigger ones or different ones, and I make other ones. And so it's always been like, okay, I got there. Okay, I got there. Okay, I got there. And then so like, what else do? I have to keep on moving on my journey, right?
Sure.
And so I've never like thought, oh, this is where I'm going to be. It's just like these little milestone steps along the way that just kind of keep me going. But getting into the union was kind of one of those things like, well, yeah, of course I'm going to be in the union. Yeah, at some point, I don't know when, but it's going to happen. And so I never really thought about yes or no, joining in or not. I knew I was going to be in the union if I wanted to be in any of the big films or TV that are union, I would have to be in the union. So
right.
It was just a matter of time, But once I became eligible, then I waited a little while before I actually joined, and then I joined in 2013.
Oh, well, congratulations. Like almost a decade coming up, huh?
Yeah. Next year will be 10 years. Yes. It was actually pretty funny. The audition that I went to that gave me the opportunity to become union, I didn't even want to go on that audition.
Oh, no.
I had been working nights at the time, and I was really tired, and my agent calls me in the morning, and so I hadn't slept all night, and she calls me in the morning, oh, we have an last minute audition for you. It's in the city. I lived in San Jose, so I had to drive an hour in traffic or more to San Francisco, find parking, go into the casting director's office, all that. I'm like, I haven't slept. Oh my God, I can't make it. She's like, no, you should go. And I'm like, but I haven't slept all night, and I'm just tired. She's like, you know what? I'll call the casting director, see if they can move your audition till later in the day. Okay, so she did. She moved it to the end of the day. I slept a few hours. I got up. I went to the city, found parking, got in.
Oh, nice.
Auditioned for it. It was for a commercial, and then by the time I drove home that afternoon, my agent calls me and says, "Congratulations, you got it." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, "And guess what? It's union. So you're gonna be a union member now." I'm like,
"Yeah."
Did this happen? And I didn't even I told her I didn't want to go.
Right. Yeah, it's very similar. It's kind of weird now because that's what happened with the slap, but it's kind of similar to Will Smith, right? He was at a party and they were like, "Hey, can you audition for Fresh Prince?" He goes, "No, I'm kind of tired. I don't really know." And Quincy Jones is like, "Either you do it now or you look at that opportunity," and that the rest is history. That's awesome. You went for it.
Exactly. Yes. And then I became union. Well, I became union eligible from that, and then I joined the union in 2013. So.
And just for those that are listening, you do prefer the term actor over actress. Any particular reason why?
I don't know. I just like the way actor sounds. I feel that's what I've always called myself. And sometimes people will say, "You're an actress." I'm like, sure, I'm an actress, but I'm also an actor. I'm an actor.
I don't understand it. We don't say Dr. S, right? Doctor.
Yeah,
doctor, right?
Exactly.
Totally makes sense. Well, I was. Congratulations, you are a 2-time recent award winner. The last Mexican American Film and TV Festival Awards for King of Downey and Broad Daylight. you just racking up awards. Appreciate that one. Talk to me about that year or that period, is going on these different projects, having different characters, and both of them being recognized.
Thank you. Well, this is kind of one of those things where when I decided to move out here to Southern California in August 2020, and we were in quarantine, everybody pretty much was, and I didn't have any family in my presence. I was living alone. I did a lot of networking, and I was still working, but I still networked a lot, and I used that time where I wasn't filming and wasn't auditioning to research a lot of the films of filmmakers, of indie filmmakers, big filmmakers, small, all levels of filmmakers in Southern California who lived here, and researching their films, researching their work, going on IMDb, finding their Instagram, their socials, their Twitters, reaching out, connecting, planting seeds. So I spent a lot of my first year here planting seeds and networking. And I did it religiously. Every day when I got off work, I would set my alarm on my phone and I would just do it religiously. And I would like network, because we weren't actually working. We weren't actually acting and auditioning because everything was shut down. Some productions were happening here and there, but they were very limited. I'm like, I'm going to use this time to build my network because nobody knows me out here. Everybody in the Bay Area, sure, but not out here. I don't have that network that I had built up in San Francisco. So I had to build that network up, and that's what I focused my time on doing the first year that I was here. So all of those seeds started to grow. They started to harvest. And a lot of the directors that I had already been in contact with from when I first moved out here were contacting me to audition for their projects. And they were sending me out, self-tape. And I was doing all these self-tapes. And then I ended up getting the first project that I ended up getting cast in was in Broad Daylight. David Manzanales was the one who reached out to me, and I auditioned for that. We filmed it actually last year, the day after Memorial Day last year, we were doing the fitting for that film, and we filmed it the first weekend in June. So just a year ago was the first project that I filmed in LA, and now that's two-time winner. That film is the two-time winner for Best Short Film. Actually, that one's won several awards. It won Audience Award, Best Drama, at the official Latino Film Festival, and the male lead won. Steve Villegas won Best Male Lead for that film, and then it also won recently, a couple weeks ago, at the Mexican American Film Festival. It won Best Short Film at that festival. So yes, it's won several awards, and I just filmed that a year ago. But the network for that started 2 years ago. So it takes time for those seeds to come to fruition, to harvest. And I feel like all of this is about relationships. It's all about building relationships. And if you're in it for the long haul, you're going to plant those seeds, and then they're going to come to harvest eventually.
So talk to me about the award ceremonies, going outside with people again, red carpets. Is it glamorous? Yes. Is it kind of overrated? What's the vibe?
No, that was a lot of fun. I've never really been on too many red carpets. I had a couple red carpets up in the city in San Francisco, but it's not so much a thing. For film festivals, sure. But since I moved here, I lost count how many red carpets. There's a red carpet every day of the week.
Love it. That's what I'm talking about.
And so, but it's nice to get out. It's nice to have that for us to all celebrate our films. And a couple of weeks ago, when we went to the Mexican American Film and Television Awards, both my projects were there in Broad Daylight as well as King of Downey. And it was so beautiful to see King of Downey, the TV pilot that we also did last year, to see that it also won Best TV Show at that film festival, and to, walk the red carpet with our cast and the creator and the director was just a beautiful thing that we're all together and we get to celebrate. It's just, it's beautiful. You are grateful. I'm grateful for those things now because it was all so distant to us not too long ago.
Sure.
And it's back and we're all hugging. We can hug each other.
Right.
I miss hugs.
Yeah, it's an odd thing, and if you don't want to chip in this, I totally understand about the pandemic, because you can't understate the destruction that COVID did. But for a lot of creatives, it really was like a crossroads of how you're going to use this time. And some people kind of went away, or they shriveled up, or they moved on to other things. And other creatives thrived. I'd be the first one to admit that if it wasn't for a pandemic, I wouldn't be a podcaster. And I actually have a career doing that because of that. And I won't say survivor's remorse, but there's some days going like, man, is it weird that I feel thankful that I had the downtime to reassess what I want to do in my career? Or am I just like, off my rocker? I don't know.
No, I wouldn't even, let me encourage you to not think badly about any of that. Like you becoming a podcaster was a silver lining of a very terrible thing, the pandemic, right? And there was a lot of loss in the world for that time, and it's still going on, right? However, with everything that comes in life, there's never going to be a life without struggle, but it's how you respond when the struggle is there and how you grow from it when the struggle is there that means most. And you took the path of growth. You took the path of, how do I strive in these circumstances? And you found a path, right? You found a way through it. And that's the silver lining. And don't feel bad about that. It's that you were able to adapt in an environment that created a lot of challenges for people, and you were able to persevere. So I would celebrate that as a win.
And I think I would celebrate you, but let me ask you, how do you celebrate yourself? Like, what do you do when you're like feeling yourself, days off, got the money in the bank? If you believe in that kind of thing, if that's the motivator, what do you do to recharge?
It's funny you say that. I have very little free time. A friend of mine told me, okay, so we're May 31st and Top Gun just released. And a friend of mine said, hey, are you going to watch Top Gun? And I said, yeah, maybe in July. And he's like, what? I'm like, I don't have time. I'm booked. I'm every single day. I'm weekend, nights, days. I'm booked. I'm busy.
Yeah.
And he goes, you need to make sure that you take some time to rest and take some time for yourself. And I'm like, even when I have time, it's like, oh, I got to get this done. I'm trying to do, I'm trying to move things along. I struggle with that. I struggle with taking, and I have to actively balance my life. Otherwise I'm just a workaholic, and that's not healthy. I know that. Right. But I have to be very habitual about my rest and habitual about the things that I allow, like the time that I spend doing different things. Otherwise I'll overwork myself. And so I do focus on rest. I do focus on recovery, but it's not a lot. And I don't have a lot of free time. So how do I celebrate my wins? I don't know. I just keep working. I keep working. Maybe, I don't know.
Not even a single fist pump. Like, yes.
Maybe I'll get a massage.
Okay, yeah, that counts. That counts.
Yeah, I'll get a massage. Yeah, I'm banking on my credits.
What is Sonia's favorite junk food?
Chunky Monkey ice cream from Ben.
Oh, whoa! Okay,
it's kind of crazy.
So sweet over salty?
Well, I like salty too, but I gravitate towards the sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. I like Cherry Garcia. That's my favorite Cherry Slayer. Nice. Respect. When you burn the midnight oil, do you like get the snack foods, or you just kind of like do you try to keep it? Do you get like stock up when you say, okay, I gotta write the script all night, or I gotta learn these lines all night? Or
I don't spend time writing. Well, I'm just barely getting into writing, so I'm not. I haven't blocked out time. As right now, I'm like preliminary phases of writing, but
sure.
And learning structure and spending time looking at the structure and the techniques for writing right now. But I know I just water. I mean, I drink tons of water. I drink a lot of water. Probably 5 gallons. I drink a lot of water. I'm just my water. I don't snack like late night or anything like that, like necessarily.
Personal question. What's the craziest or dopest thing a fan's ever done for you? Like fan art, high five, a tag on social, like.
I wouldn't consider. I don't know if it's a fan. Okay, so I've never met this person.
Okay.
But they're on my Instagram and they follow, my work religiously. Like, I mean, they're really supportive of my work, right? And engage with my posts and just very respectful. And he's an artist. And I also appreciate and respect his work. Never met him before. And I really loved one of his pieces that he did. And I commented on how much I loved it because it was a art piece of a dog that reminded me of my dog that I used to have that I no longer have. And so he sent me the actual art piece. He
oh wow,
sent it to me and gave it to me, and I'm like, wow, that was really sweet. Like I wanted to buy it, but no, he just sent it to me. I think that was really cool. I wouldn't say he's a fan. Maybe, I don't know. He's a friend,
Yeah, that counts.
But I think there was this one audience member, and I've brought this up a while ago. In past interviews, there was this audience member who was at one of my shows in San Francisco, and she came up to me afterwards, and she was crying, and she said, you just told my story. And the role was a very visceral, dark role. And she said, you just told my story. That was me when I was at rock bottom. And I feel seen. And thank you so much. And I tell that story because that's what solidified that's what confirmed that I made my passion in life, my purpose in life is to tell the stories of the human condition through my art. Right. And so the fact that she did that is more about how she was appreciating the art of acting and theater. But I appreciate that she did that because it confirmed that I made the right choice, that I'm doing good with my art. And that makes me feel really good. So I thought that was awesome that she did that too.
Is there such a thing as a dream role? Was that an odd thing to ask? Like, do you have some, like a dream role, something that you're like, you know what, before I get off this, I want to make sure to be in a Marvel movie or a detective or action star?
I have a lot of dreams.
That is fantastic.
I have a lot of dreams. So there are a lot of dream roles that I will be in. I know it. And one of them I'm actually working on right now. It's a passion project of mine where it's telling the story of the women in my life and from the perspective of Chicana females and just our life experiences and the relationships and a lot of the influences that we have in our culture, from religion to just just culturally the impacts and telling the story of my mother, of my grandmother, of my sisters, of myself. And so that's the dream role for me, is to be able to tell the story of the women in my life and the people that I love. And I think that they need to feel seen too. And I don't know a movie or anything out there or TV show that shows that, represents that now. So my dream would be to bring that to life. So I'm, producing that, and I want to see that come to life, and I'll play the lead in that. So that's a dream role that I'm creating and manifesting for myself. Aside from that, I have a lot of dream roles, and so many.
There's nothing wrong with manifesting dreams. We'll run this down and get you out of here. But before I do, it's 2022. I think we're kind of at the end of the pandemic. It's still going / I don't know. What's on the travel bucket list? What part of the world do you want to see? And a chance, if someone booked you to do anything, where would you go for your craft?
For my craft?
Yeah.
Oh. I'd like to film in I did a study abroad in Cuernavaca, and I spent a summer there and in Mexico, and I'd love to film there. I'd love to film there. That would be beautiful to film in, like, just the land is so beautiful. Just music, culture, food, everything is just so beautiful to be there in the homeland, right? And I would love to film anything there. As far as traveling, like, I've traveled a lot already, but one place I still have yet to go that it's on my bucket list to go would be Italy. I've almost been to Italy in several times, but and it's like something stopped me from going. It's really weird. But
That's
so
maybe
it's
Japan.
like, not ready to come to Italy yet. I'm like, okay, I'll get cast in a film if we're shooting in Italy one day. I don't know.
I've tried and failed to go to Japan like 4 times. I've been to Italy, changed my life for a good thing, for good and bad. So hopefully get out there. But for me, Japan's been like the holy grail. 3 or 4 times I'll go or get ready to go, and something will happen. Like a pandemic. Sonia, thank you so much for being on the show. New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives. Now it's time to put everything over. If someone wanted to connect with you, follow you on social media, book you for a role, how to go about doing that?
Well, you can find me on IMDb at www.imdb.me/Sonia Balcazar, or on Instagram, Sonia Balcazar. Or that's probably the best 2 ways, because my agent's information is on there. You can contact me there on Instagram. Let's see, I'm also on Facebook as well, Sonia Balcazar. Twitter, Sonia Balcazar. So everything's spelled the same.
Hey, that counts. That totally counts. I can't wait to see what 2023 and beyond brings for you. I mean, the fact that you're on the rise and still growing. It's great to see people of different backgrounds getting opportunities and taking those opportunities and making it their own. It's way more important than giving opportunities. It's like, it is you. I feel the energy. I love it.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.